time has come, guys. It's finally here. The one you guys have been really badgering me about. The HK416D. Now, I feel like I've talked about this gun, or variants of this gun, extensively. But this one here is a different beast. This one is fully licensed from Umarex, and more importantly, this beast is powered by KWA. Without further ado, this is the HK416D, and let's get into it. Wait a minute. This! What is the HK416D?
Huh? That's right. This guy.
Yeah, I know what that is. But yeah, this is HK416D. Just stop crying for a little bit. Yeah, okay, you might think they're the same gun, but you know, you're wearing a hat, I'm not wearing a hat. Are we technically the same person? Okay, alright. Never know, alright? Then I guess let's get into it. It's gonna happen. And let's talk about these two guns before I need a whole lot of therapy by the end of this. Can't believe I'm fighting with myself. Having dealt with myself, let's get back to the subject matter at hand. This is the HK416D, fully licensed from Umarex, powered by KWA. Being fully licensed, that means it's gonna have markings in, well, I would say most of the corresponding locations, such as the buttstock, lower receiver, and you'll even find some markings on the magazine itself. Everything else right up front is pretty standard, what you see on standard HK416Ds. Quad rails up front. This one has flip up front and rear sights. It has the HK style buttstock, pistol grip, and of course the looks and the feels is very reminiscent of what you would expect an HK416D to look like. Or does it? Before we get into the internal workings and the performance of this gun, I feel like it would be a major disservice to you guys for me to elude the whole, well, is it part of this being an HK416D to you guys and not comparing with an existing fully licensed HK416D? I know it seems a little confusing, but like I previously said in the intro, this is also an HK416D. Now there are some differences. Actually, there are some very obvious differences between this one and this one, so we're going to go over them before we're going to shoot this gun. A little closer. Let's do this. To start things off, I want to clarify with everyone watching this that these are both denoted as HK416D models, as you can see on the markings right here. Now, while on the lower receiver, their markings are very similar. On the upper receiver is where you'll find the first difference, with the VFC model marking being like this, and the KWA marking only denotes that it's H and K right up top. Now, moving towards the front of the gun is where we're going to see the first major difference between the VFC and the KWA. Now, lengthwise, that's really not what we're talking about today, but there are some other differences, namely the front sight. On the VFC model, you have a screwed-on fixed front sight that you can mount towards the front of your handguard, whereas on the KWA version, it uses this flip-up front sight. Now, I stand corrected, as I always do. This front sight does not correspond with this particular model. Why do I say that? Because we've seen flip-up front sights before on other 416s, namely the 416A5. However, that was integrated towards the front portion of your handguard. You might think, well, I've also seen some other 416 models with this style of front sight, and you would be right, and that is referring to the real steel version HK416A7, or alternatively called the G95. But yet, it's not on the gas block. It's actually placed strapped on to the front portion of the barrel. So I know I'm being a little nitpicky about a placement of a front sight. I just feel like if it's gonna be a 416D, let's try to make it a little bit more 416D-ish and stick with this. Now towards the rear portion of our gun comparison here, you're going to see the same, I don't want to call it problem, but the same thing persists, with the rear sight being this very MP5-esque rear sight that you see on the VFC version, and then on the KWA version it has this flip-up rear sight. Now this is an HK style flip-up rear sight, but it's also only featured on the 416A5. That's the last place you'll see this, because the VFC 416A5 has exactly the same style of rear sight. And the A5 similarities don't end there. You also see the pistol grip and the buttstock that is basically lifted from the 416A5, because as you can see on the VFC 416D, it has the finger groove, the notch here. This one doesn't. This one features the Elephant Man foot buttstock. Oh gosh, I hate this buttstock. But this one has the vastly improved slim profile buttstock as you can find on the 416A5. As a final point, you would probably say, well, then it seems to be more akin to a 416A5 than a 416D. Why didn't they just slap it on and make it a 416A5? I would be inclined to agree with you. However, there's still one more difference that actually is quite subtle, but it's that particular difference that really denotes this as a 416D, which makes this whole thing slightly ever so confusing. And that is their magwell right here. You see, on the 416A5, they take a slightly more traditional AR style approach where they take their magwell and it's more at an angle. This one is more flush with your trigger guard here. And you see that with this 416D as well. You see, it's a more flat, flush, and slightly flared magwell. Even on the real steel version, it is like this on their 460D models. So in real steel guns, these guns don't fit magazines like PMags. You have to use EMags. With the A5, that issue was rectified, so you can put in PMags instead of always use EMags. Thus brings me back to the point. I feel like KWA could have just swapped out a few external parts and voila, they'd have really an issueless, problemless 416D with a longer outer barrel. Because, you know, we do see some other 416Ds out there with longer outer barrels, namely those in the Norwegian forces that have actually adopted the 416D as their service rifle. But that aside, external parts are all things that most of us will end up swapping out anyways. And as the immortal words of Gambit himself, it's what's on the inside that counts. So let's talk about the internals of the 416D. Just a brief overview, and then we're going to talk about performance. Functionally, this is a gas blowback rifle, so it's going to work exactly as what you would see on a real steel gun. Well, close enough to completely spot on exact, because there is a hop-up inside. We're going to get to that in a little bit. This gun also uses the KWA brand spanking new System 7.2. It does sound like System 72, but it's System 7.2 gas performance system that's in this gun. Now, it's supposed to increase efficiency, and it's supposed to be a little bit more stable than the previous System 7, which was already a fantastic system. The magazines are this style of standard Stanag M4 magazines from KWA, and I know what you're thinking. Hey, what about those EPMs for KWA GBBRs? We're gonna show you guys. This is an EPM for the KWA M4s. My finger is off the magazine release. Doesn't fit. Sadly, doesn't fit. For right now, you're gonna have to stick with the standard mags. I'm going to have to say that adjusting the hop-up on KWA guns have always been vastly superior on many of the previous older standard VFC guns, because they give you this nice nifty hop-up adjustment tool. How do you adjust the hop-up? First, strip the magazine, pull back the charging handle, use the bolt lock to lock it in place right here, and you can adjust it right here in the breech with your adjustment tool. Touting that System 7.2, we're gonna go run this gun through our gas efficiency test, which you know what that means. We will be filling this magazine here up one time full of gas, and then we're gonna see how many full mags we can shoot out of one single charge. After that, we're gonna run the chrono and as well as the accuracy test, which I will be pitting this KWA version of the HK416D versus the VFC version that's actually sitting right next to me right now. We're gonna see which one's slightly more accurate, and we're gonna see how they both perform. Let's get into it then.
All right, now it's time for a gas efficiency test. We're going to see how many full mags we can shoot off of one charge of gas. I've already charged this up. Let's get right into it. That bolt sounds really good. That was one. Round two. Recoil impulse was really good. Felt really good shooting. There's just a few rounds left in here. I think maybe 4 or 5. So I would say roughly about one full mag plus 4 or 5 BBs left on a second mag. Pretty fair for a standard small reservoir Stanag style magazine. Now let's get to the accuracy test. Let's see how it stacks up against that VFC. And now it's time for our accuracy test. As you can see, we have our contraptions set up here. So we're gonna try to get as much accuracy as we can out of both of these rifles. And here at RedWolf TV, we like to go one step further, and we put the chronograph in front of our rifle just to see what the FPS deviation might or might not be between the two guns. Because, you know, we want to give you guys all the facts. Let's have at it. It's got really good recoil impulse, and from what I can see right now, the grouping is holding up very nicely. Pretty happy with those results. Let's see how the VFC shoots. Now it's time for the VFC 416D. I really miss how good the recoil on this gun feels. It's a pretty tight match, these two guns. Now I want to do a quick demo of full auto on the KWA version, just to kind of give you guys a better feel of that recoil impulse. We'll go from there. Alright. Flipping this guy on fun mode. Oh, it's tearing through Quake's face. Let me see how many more rounds I got. There's a dumper. Recoil impulse on the KWA version of the HK416D. It's fun. It's got a good solid kick, and the cycling is incredibly fast. Feels good. In this review, I mentioned several times
the HK416D from VFC and the HK416A5 if you want to check out the A5 video and an HK416C video. Click on the card above or in the description below. Now you may be thinking, but where's the D? Word D review? Well, you know, I kind of already talked about the HK416D from VFC in this same review. So you got a 2-for-1 today, guys. Don't say I don't love you, because I really do. You know where to go. Click on the card above or in the description below. I think I'm having a nervous breakdown. Do you hear that? Get back to work. Don't you have things to do? My goodness. I hate it when I have to fight with myself. Alright guys, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I feel like I've been ragging on this gun a little much today in terms of all this looks. It just got me feeling a little dirty, or dare I say a little elitist. Oh, it's the word. Makes me want to throw up. When discussing all these things about like, oh, this is different and that's not supposed to be there and this is all of these things that got people so up in arms about. It's external, it's aesthetic. All of this can be swapped out, just like we can go cut our hair, or you know, go to the gym, change a t-shirt. All of these things can be swapped. Guys, don't you worry. I think what's really more important here is the package that this gun delivers to you, the player, and the eventual user of a platform like this. KWA has delivered a really solid platform, whether it be in performance or just the whole build quality. Superb and really nice. What you get with this gun is a workhorse. And I'll just be very honest and say, with personal experience, I've shot a lot of KWAs that I've really enjoyed. Great recoil impulse, cycles well, works like a dream. You can beat it up and take it back out the next day and it will function. But what do you guys think? Where do you stand on this particular HK416D? Where is your choice? I want to know all that in the comment section below, so hit me up. And for this cool product and many more, you know where to go. www.redwolfairsoft.com. My name is Mark, aka Blue Steel. Gonna go see a therapist now, and you guys have a good one.